Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you everyone for joining today. We're right around 1 o'clock Eastern time here and giving everyone a chance to kind of get in here. Sometimes Zoom takes a few minutes and we will kick things off. Um, as you're joining, I'm calling in from the Boston area here. Would love to hear where people are kind of joining in from. Tom, where are you again? Where are you located?
I'm in New Jersey.
Jersey, that's right. That's right. So a couple of East Coast guys here. Let's see, let's see. Okay, that's being recorded. All right. And as we're kind of starting here, if you should see a little bit of ability to kind of raise your hand on your thing, or you can go into the chat. If you can just let us know that you can hear the audio okay as we're starting here, that would be a huge help. Seeing some raised hands. Thank you, everyone. All right, good. I'm glad we're coming through loud and clear. Perfect, 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 perfect. All right. Okay. I think we can kick off here. As I said, thank you everyone for joining today. Today we'll be talking about sales tax filing for e-commerce. As we're starting here, I just want to do a few housekeeping items as we kind of kick things off. The number one question we always get, will we get the recording of this session? Will you share the slides? Will there be follow-up materials? Yes, absolutely. To all of those, we will be sharing all the resources we talk about here and some additional links. And if you are interested in talking with anyone on the team here, we will also send you a link to schedule additional time if you have follow-up questions and all of that good stuff as well. Other housekeeping item, in addition to that, you will see in your kind of Zoom panel there, the ability to there's a Q&A panel. That's your best place to ask any questions. As questions come in, we can review them and answer as we go, but we'll probably keep a bulk of them for the end as well. So we'll make sure we leave plenty of time to answer any questions that people have. I see people are already asking questions in the Q&A. Someone did say that the chat is disabled, so I can take a look and see if we can get that resolved. But in the meantime, let's just plan to use the Q&A as we start off here. And sorry if folks are trying to communicate with us and aren't able to. So let's use the Q&A for that. We can monitor that and we will let you know it'll be all set. And again, it seems like someone who just joined a couple minutes after I started. Yes, we will be sending the recording out for everyone as well. All right, so let's jump in here. Before we get started, the last housekeeping item I should say is that today we're going to be sharing, best practices. We'll be sharing learnings from our years of working in the space and helping thousands of customers and, filing millions of dollars in sales tax for our customers. But we are not here to offer you sales tax or legal advice. This is meant to be very educational. We hope you get a lot of value out of this. But if you have specific sales tax questions about your own situation, and if they come up in the chat, we may just say, hey, your best bet is to talk to a sales tax professional. We'll do our best to give you information that hopefully you can be empowered to take action. But we always want to just be really careful that there are, sales tax experts and accountants out there, and we always, when relevant, we'll try to refer you to them for those sort of specific questions. So with that all said, for anyone just want to say hello. My name is Ryan. I'm our VP of go-to-market here. I deal with a lot of our teams on our sales and marketing side. And I'm here joined with Tom, who leads our filing team. Tom will do a bit more of an intro in a bit, but Tom, would you like to say hello to everyone here?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, Director of Filing here at TaxCloud. Yeah, looking forward to talking to everybody about sales tax today.
Awesome. Great to hear it. And so let's just do a quick view of our agenda and what we'll be talking about today. We're going to start off by kind of talking about trends in the sales tax space, particularly as we are kind of halfway through Q1 or getting 2/3 of the way through Q1 here. Kind of big things that are going to impact your business this year as it relates to sales tax. As I mentioned, Tom is here from our filing team, who's helped work with so many of our customers, and will be sharing kind of firsthand account from his long experience working in the sales tax space. We'll be sharing a little bit of some customers who have worked with us and the value they've got. And we'll do our best today not to just to be bragging and talking about TaxCloud, but to keep this as educational as we can. And then, as I talked about, we will be doing some time for Q&A. So to start off, I mean, I think the big question is, why now and why this topic? And the start of the year is a great time to be thinking about sales tax filing. A big factor for this is, as you're starting the year, you're likely kind of in planning mode, thinking about the year, thinking about your business, but you're probably also taking the chance to kind of reflect on the last year and some changes that have maybe taken place. We see, particularly in Q4, for businesses that are in the e-commerce and selling online, that because of the sales volume you likely had, you're likely dealing in an entire different situation in some of the states that you're selling in, and being aware of kind of where you have Nexus and how you need to be thinking about your sales tax compliance is really important. We also know it's a time of year where people are looking at the different tools that they're working with, or accountants and other professionals you may be working with in your business, and it's a good time to kind of check in and to make sure you're set up for success on the sales tax side of things. The other reason we are here talking about this today is because right now, if you're someone who's selling in multiple states, compliance has only gotten more complex. And if you've dealt with sales tax anyway, you know that. And so we're here today to, give you the opportunity to learn from someone who's worked with a lot of businesses who are navigating some of that complexity, and who likely have some of the questions or had some of the questions or concerns that maybe you've had around sales tax in your business. And we want to make sure that you're able to get the insight. So it's a great time just to kind of level set on, changes that have happened, things to keep an eye out for. And the other reason we're here is because when you're looking at sales tax, finding the right partner to help you solve your sales tax challenges is really important, both in terms of staying compliant, but also making sure you're evaluating the right options that are out there for your business, whether that means working with a partner or a service provider of some kind, or choosing a tool, or maybe particularly looking at the functionality on the platforms you're selling on today and saying, hey, do these meet my needs today? And so it's a great time at the start of the year to be evaluating all of that. And so where are we at as it relates to the sales tax filing landscape today? As we enter the year, there's a few things that we think are really important for people to be thinking about as it relates to your sales tax filing. One, we are in a world where marketplace laws are now being enforced all across the country. And so this idea that marketplaces are responsible for collecting sales tax has been going on for a while, but we're now at a point where this has become the standard across a lot of states. And that's still, while that's great in some respects because they will handle a lot of the tax collection for you, it still puts you in a position where you have to be thinking about kind of your nexus and how your sales through all these different channels you may be selling on could be impacting your sales tax liability and your filing. And so that's one of the big factors we see as we enter 2025, of that playing a really important role in how you should be thinking about your sales tax filing. Two, we're at a time where there is increased scrutiny on people who are selling in multiple states. We are seeing that, while there have been a lot of situations, high profile situations where, states are being much more proactive in looking at your compliance and nexus in these states and making sure that they're that businesses are taking care of the things that they need to. And so if you're a business that maybe only in the last few years have reached Nexus in different states, all of this may be new to you. And so, working with a partner that can help you navigate that becomes really important. We are also in a situation where the compliance burden is shifting and automation is really becoming more important. If you're someone who's been doing this manually on your own, you likely already know this because you're dealing with more questions, more scrutiny around your filing, likely having to go and do amendments and things to your filings, and having to navigate a lot of that tricky process, and hopefully have avoided any kind of audit, but maybe are living with some concern that you're unsure whether or not you have compliance, are compliant where you need to be. And so we are seeing over the last few years, and particularly going into this year, automation is becoming a much more important part on the sales tax side. We expect that trends like AI will likely play a role in this. And it's something that, automating this is becoming much more, for any business that's selling across multiple states, much more essential than ever before. On the more positive side, we are at a point where the streamlined sales tax solution, SST, if you're not aware of it, it's a great cost savings for businesses that are selling across a lot of states. This is a great program to be a part of. There's a select number of vendors who are part of this program. Hopefully you're working with a vendor that does that today. And that vendor should be enrolling you in that program and ideally passing those savings along to you, because it can be a savings for you and your business, and it's something that has continued to be a really important part of the sales tax space as more and more business become enrolled in this program. And then the final big trend that we are seeing is that we are seeing that there's more options than ever before as it relates to your filing. Just in the last year or so, we've seen some of the e-commerce platforms that are out there actually add the ability to do filing. We've seen new vendors like TaxCloud and some of the tools in our space coming online to offer filing services. And as a business owner, while you maybe had one or two solutions and those you were kind of stuck choosing between those in the past, we're now in a situation where we have countless number of tools you could be working with. And that is great news because it gives you a lot of optionality, but it also can create some challenges as it relates to kind of navigating the decisions around that stuff. And so we hope to give some guidance, some learnings around that as well. And so, the big question on all this stuff is ultimately, how do you start to get ahead of a lot of these trends that are out there and put yourself into a good spot? And so, one, you really need to know your filing obligations. We're going to talk through some of those today, but understanding based on where you're selling, what your obligations are on the filing side is really important. Two, it's understanding the deadlines that exist out there. There's different deadlines you need to be aware of based on the states that you're selling into. There's different filing frequencies that come along with your filing that you need to be aware of. And if you don't have a good grasp on that, you're really putting yourself at risk. And so we're going to talk about how you can become aware of that and be proactive in understanding that so you can stay ahead. And then the last part of this and staying ahead is making sure that you're working with a partner, whether it's a tool or a solution, that will hopefully take care of a lot of these things we're talking about. Businesses that are in a spot where they're working with a good partner really don't need to know a lot of these things or need to be hyper aware of these things because they have a partner who's going to work on their behalf. And so we'll talk about some of the options that are out there for you as well. So as I transition here and give Tom the chance to take the mic, I wanted to just give a snapshot of on TaxCloud side what we're doing here. So for folks who don't know, and maybe I should have led with this, sales TaxCloud, we consider ourselves to be a right size sales tax solution for growing businesses. We handle really the end-to-end sales tax for you, from your calculation, from tracking your Nexus, all the way through doing your filing. And particularly today, we'll be talking about on the filing side. But just to give you a sense of how much filing we've been doing as a business, we filed over 85,000 total returns last year. Those filings and working with us, both through our ability to partner with the SST program I talked about, and filing early on behalf of our clients, we've saved them an estimated $2.5 million in revenue back in their pocket through working with a service like ours to help with the filing. And we have handled over 117 million in total sales tax filing through us. And all that happens through the team that Tom here leads and works on here at TaxCloud. And so I think it's a great chance for us to kind of now transition to Tom, and he'll share a bit about his background, his experience, and what we've been learning through all of that work that his team's been doing, and hopefully help connect with what you're doing in your business. So Tom, I'll give you a chance to take it away here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. And yeah, certainly an exciting time to be working in the sales tax space. I've been in sales tax for over 13 years now, with spending time at Vertex and Moss Adams, on the consulting side at Moss Adams, helping our customers with different types of sales tax projects such as registrations, audits, nexus analysis, taxability analysis, really all things sales tax. And yeah, happy to be here at TaxCloud and helping our customers here with their filing needs. Yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is the key filing challenges associated with sales tax, and really just the different states that you're going to have to be registered in, understanding your sales tax footprint, understanding the taxability of the products that you're selling, and staying on top of it, making sure that you're filing and paying your sales tax on time. One of the things with sales tax is that it's a pass-through tax, so it's something that you can pass on to your customers. So again, it's going to be important to make sure that you're registering, you're collecting, and you're remitting on time. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're not collecting tax, you get audited. You're then in a situation where now you're going to have to pay that tax that wasn't collected, and then you're also going to have to pay penalty and interest associated to those returns being filed and paid late. So just important to make sure that that you're on top of that, managing those returns, managing those payments, understanding the logins, the work that's going to go into registering and paying sales tax. So if it's situation like Ryan in Massachusetts, where it's a single sales tax rate, could be a simpler situation to file and pay that tax return. Whereas if you're going to be located in Illinois or Missouri or other states, you're going to have a harder time understanding and collecting and remitting at the different rates in those states. Colorado is another example of a state that we see some of our customers struggle with, and a reason that they come to us, having to collect and remit at all the locally administered returns, which is, situations where now you're going to be having to register in 50 plus jurisdictions just in Colorado alone. You're going to have to make sure that those returns are now filed and paid on time. And then if filing frequencies change, you're going to have to stay up to date on that. So TaxCloud, we do a great job of maintaining that, understanding, where you're set up, where you're registered in, and then again, just making sure that you're filing and paying on time. Another thing that we have that's great here at TaxCloud is we're a certified service provider in the SST program, so we can let our customers take advantage of that, which is a situation I'll talk to in a little bit. But again, just something you're going to want to consider as you decide if you want to work with a provider like us. Next is what is Nexus? This is what's going to decide where you're going to register, what jurisdictions you're going to have to register in. Um, you know, One of the big things with sales tax over the years is the Supreme Court case decision between Wayfair and South Dakota. This kind of switched things from just being physical Nexus. Where do you have physical employees? Where do you have a physical store? Where do you have locations? Where are you set up? Once Wayfair, the case was decided with Wayfair, now it's economic nexus. How much are you selling into a state? How many orders are you accepting in a state? Are you exceeding those thresholds? If you are exceeding those thresholds, now you have nexus in that state. Now you have to register in that state. Now you have to report. And again, as a pass-through tax, you're going to want to make sure that you're collecting that tax at the time of sale, especially for an e-commerce business where it's not reasonable for you to go back and charge your customers tax if you do get audited. You want to take advantage of passing that tax burden on to your customer, so you're not going to have to pay that out of pocket potentially at a later date. Another thing I've noticed with Nexus is some taxpayers, just think, okay, maybe the best thing for me to do is to just register in every state. So they go ahead and they register in every state. And we found, and I found, that this can cause issues where, now you may just be filing zero returns in those states. So now you have this burden to file and pay those returns. You're not collecting any tax. Now you may be paying a TaxCloud or another provider for those filings. So understanding your footprint, using a Nexus tracking that TaxCloud offers, is going to help you reduce that risk of of overextending yourself, creating more burden than you need to, registering at the right time, and really kind of taking advantage of the thresholds that were put in place, so that you don't have to overextend. So, we offer here at TaxCloud a great solution to help track that, keep you up to date on that. And again, with sales tax, it is you can voluntarily register, so you don't have to wait for your Nexus thresholds to hit. You can register at any time and begin collecting and paying tax, and states probably prefer it that way. But it kind of goes into your whole process flow of how you want to handle it. If you know that you're going to hit Nexus, maybe it makes sense to register before you hit Nexus. If you know you have other projects coming up at your business and you may become swamped at a certain time of the year and you might hit Nexus at that time of year, it may make sense to proactively register in states. But just keep in mind, once you are registered, there is going to be a responsibility to file and pay in those states. Here at TaxCloud, we are a certified service provider, which allows us to file and pay on our customers' behalf in these states. It really reduces the burden for our customers, really kind of cuts the number of states that need to be remitted in half. And it's also a benefit as being a part of as a certified service provider. We can't charge for the filings that we have in these states. So it really is a great cost savings opportunity for our customers to take advantage of. The way it works for us is we'll get compensation from the state to file and pay in those states. But because of that, we can't charge for those filings. So really a great way to save money. There's only a handful of certified service providers. So definitely something, if you're looking into a sales tax offering, definitely something you want to consider. Is it a CSP? Can they file in the SST states? With that filing as in an SST state, the audit responsibility becomes TaxCloud's responsibility. So we get audited by each of these states. We'll work with our customers as we go through those audits. If there's some liability that's found, we work with the states to try to get that reduced, and really just takes the burden of the audit off of our customers and onto us. And we have relationships at these states. Part of that program really helps us kind of ease communications, work with these states to get them the money that they're owed, and then try to work through some situations to make sure we have it covered for everybody. We filed 67,000 SST returns in 2024, paid over 55 million in taxes. Really, we haven't really put a dollar amount to because we can't put a dollar amount to the cost of those filings. But if you were to look at comparable companies that file in those states, we've saved over $2 million for our customers, just by being a streamlined service provider here. So here's some of the stuff that goes with filing in the state is really understanding your deadlines. If you're going to handle this yourself, it's really important to make sure you set reminders. Where are you filing? When are you filing? Is it a monthly return? Is it a quarterly return? Is the return due on the 20th of the month? Is it due on the 30th of the month? Is it due on the 15th of the month? Setting those reminders, staying on top of it, checking your login accounts to make sure that your password isn't expired. Make sure authentication codes are coming to you. Again, it's not just going to be in one state, it's going to be in several states. So staying on top of that. If you are working with a provider such as TaxCloud, the responsibility shifts to, okay, let me make sure my date is correct. Let me log into my account. Let me review things. What are the dates I need to have that done by? Understanding how to reconcile. So going into your account, making sure that the numbers that are going to be in TaxCloud are going to match the dollars that you have in your bank account, making sure that, if it's a monthly filer, it's being paid monthly. If it's a quarterly filer, it's being paid quarterly, and so forth. Also tracking your Nexus, it's going to be important to monitor that each month to make sure that if you are getting close to Nexus, you have a plan to get registered in that state and stay compliant in that state. So, really just making sure, yeah, that you have your calendar set up, you're being reminded of any due dates that are coming up, and being reminded that you have to, you're going to be responsible for these returns and staying on top of it. We're working with TaxCloud. We're on top of that for you. We're going to keep track of that. We have reminders set up, making sure that you're getting data in on time, working with you to get those returns filed and paid with the state each month. All right. So yeah, some of the mistakes that we see, when it comes to filing, uh, with Wayfair and with one of the things I've observed is that some e-commerce businesses have kind of lost track of how big their footprint has become in some of these states. So you may have worked with a different provider and you went from having, a couple registrations to now all of a sudden you're registered in across the country. You could be registered in every state. And kind of without even knowing it, you kind of expanded so much that burden of that tax responsibility has become something that a business just can't handle. So kind of making sure that you understand that, especially if you're going to switch providers or if you're going to go to a provider, is that this is something that it's going to stick with you. Those returns are going to have to get filed one way or the other each month. And just understanding that the setup process is going to take some time. So making sure that you're not missing the deadlines as you're transitioning from one provider to another, or just switching to a provider. Your registration, you may have registered in many more states than what you were originally registered in, before you went to a provider, or as you're switching to a provider. So something you want to be mindful of too is just how big your footprints become. And all things to make sure you're not missing filings. Track your Nexus. Stay on top of that. Uh, just as you get close, keep an eye on that. See when you want to register on time, and then begin remitting. Again, you don't want to not collect that tax and then become audited and get stuck having to pay tax that you could have collected from a customer. Leveraging SST, keeping track of where you can save money. Sales taxes is something that it's you're gonna have to pay your taxes one way or the other. So how can you save money by doing it? Can you leverage an SST provider? Can you save some money there? Centralizing your tax data, making sure it's accurate. All things you just want to stay on top of as you're monitoring your sales tax and working with a new provider to help you handle this and stay on top of it for you. All things we've built into our process. We have reminders each month. Our team works great. We communicate thoroughly. One thing that we do is we have a third-party accounts wherever states offer that, which takes the burden of maintaining your logins, maintaining your authentication codes, and passing that on to us, where once we have access to your account to file, we're not following up with you, hey, can we get this login, this password change, this authentication code's needed. I always suggest that it's a best practice for our customers to have their own access and their own logins, and something you're going to want to maintain as you become registered in more states. You're going to want to make sure that if it is being added to a third-party account like TaxCloud uses, that you still have your own access. So if letters are sent or there's another business requirement associated with the state, franchise tax or excise tax or fees, that you're staying on top of that as well. But it is a level of comfort and ease to know that TaxCloud uses those third-party accounts, adds you to our account, and then there's just not that back and forth that I've seen over the years of trying to get an authentication code or trying to get a password updated, or it's the due date and a filing company can't find the authentication code, or it's going to a cell phone. Things like that I've noticed here at TaxCloud, we do a really good job of maintaining that. And then, yeah, also want to make sure that you're considering what types of automation you can use to reduce errors. Sales tax to file and pay, it's a very labor intensive process, especially if you're going to do it yourself. If you don't have the reporting capabilities that TaxCloud has, how are you going to file? How are you going to know what jurisdiction to report in? If you're just using Excel files and you just have a zip code, how do you know in Illinois what district or city or how do you get that granular detail to report accurately? All things that could come back and kind of get you in trouble during an audit. We have processes in place. We have reporting that we use, to just maintain that and keep track of those things and make sure we're filing and paying accurately for you. Yeah, I think Ryan, I'm going to pass it back to you for this one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much, Tom. I mean, I think there's been a bunch of questions that have come up, and appreciate you going into the details on a lot of that stuff, and hopefully some new information for everyone here. So, as I think Tom's touched on a lot of, what we do here and some of the learnings we have from the customers that we work with. I think ultimately everyone on this call will have to assess based on the size of your business and your where you have tax obligations and all of your different needs and where you're at in your journey here. You'll have to assess for yourself what's the right approach for handling your sales tax filing. We typically will see customers or potential customers we talk to taking a few different approaches, and wanted to kind of talk through kind of the pros and cons or positive negatives that you should be thinking about for each of these. So number one is the one we touched on for some folks, which is handling on your own. And so, you can definitely take this on your own. If you're, have obligations in one state, maybe your home state, and that really well, typically that won't be a big problem. But as you're going to multiple states, I think you'll likely find that that can start to add up. So there's the positives, which is you're in full control, and then the negatives there is obviously there's a lot of complexity and potential risk and burden that will fall onto you. The other option we see businesses taking is that you can hire someone. We have an amazing network of accountants and sales tax professionals that work with us here at TaxCloud. This is definitely an approach that worked really well for a lot of the clients we work with. Generally, what we'll see here is when someone's working with a sales tax professional, they'll generally will be working with a tool like TaxCloud behind the scenes as well. And so while it's great to work with an accountant, at the end of the day, they ultimately will be working with a tool like ours. And so ultimately what you have to balance here is based on your situation. Do you need that level of extra service and expertise? If so, great. I think it's a great way to go. Or you could hire someone internally who could also have that purpose, which we see many of our customers doing as well. There's built-in tools. So based on the platforms that you're on, or the accounting platforms you're on, there likely may be some basic functionality on the filing side to help automate this. Again, I think this is another situation when you're talking about a small number of states or a small number of filings. These tools may be able to meet your needs in the short term. Typically, what we hear from customers is that these tools help get them to a certain point. But when they're going outside of those platforms, when they're selling through different marketplaces or different accounting platforms, in addition to the e-commerce platform, the ability to have kind of support on that is not always there. And also, sales tax isn't generally not the specialty of the folks there. They're likely outsourcing it to a partner of some kind. And so you don't get the benefit of someone like Tom and his team, which, if you value that and want some additional service on top of what's offered through the functionality of these platforms, that's another reason we see folks working with a platform like ours. And then the last one is to work with a software solution like a TaxCloud, but there are other tools out there that can do that for you as well. And hopefully we've given you a good sense today of what to look out for when you're looking at these different partners. We typically find, as we've shown, there's there's savings for you. There's the ability to have one less thing to worry about, and you can outsource this. so you can sleep at night and not worry about sales tax. But at the end of the day, depending on the platform you're using, there's going to be some setup involved. There's some migration work. And so that should also go into your consideration as you're looking at other tools. Just to kind of speak just a bit here about what we offer, and then we will transition quickly here to get to the Q&A. So I know there's a bunch of questions coming in. So just to share, if you haven't checked out TaxCloud yet for the sales tax filing, either because you're not using our platform at all today, or maybe you're an existing customer who's just not filing with us today, what we can handle for you, as Tom I think has alluded to, is we can help you on the tax registration side, help you get setting up in these states, and can help automate your multi-state filing. From a cost savings perspective, our filings are as low as $39 a month per filing, and if you have a large number of filing, the price on that will come down for you. So as you file more, you'll have additional savings that we will pass on to you as well. And we will help you hopefully save money in the process as well. And so price will always be a consideration if you're looking at another software provider, or if you're working with some of the in-house tools on some of the platforms that you may be selling on. Being mindful of the price for filing, they should be able to provide that for you, and you can use that as a comparison point. SST certification, I think we've talked about that. We are one of a few certified partners. If you are using a sales tax solution like a TaxCloud today, or other than TaxCloud, you should ask them. If you're not enrolled in the SST program or think you may qualify, you should ask them why you're not, because they just may not have presented that to you. And so that's something you just really want to be mindful of. And it's a big part of how we set people up today. And we integrate with all the tools you use to run your business. And so whether you're working with Shopify or any of the big e-commerce platforms that are out there, or tools like QuickBooks for the accounting side, we have built integrations, and we have a team that knows these tools really well, so that we can help handling your filing on those tools. A snapshot on pricing here. This is included mostly as a reference for folks as you are getting these slides, so we won't spend a lot of time here. And then so we just wanted to wrap up just to share an example of a customer who has worked with us. This is one of the examples of the thousands of customers that are working with us today. This customer, UntilGone, they're a perfect example of a business that could have been part of the SST program, but never really was presented with that opportunity with their past provider. They're selling on the big commerce platform. And they came to us with a need to simplify their sales tax compliance really across the board, but particularly on the filing side. And as Richard here, who runs this business, told us, this was a huge value of coming to us was the level of support he got and able to migrate us to have a seamless integration with BigCommerce, his e-commerce platform, and the fact that we're able to get him enrolled in SST and set up, and both save him a lot of time and a lot of money in the process. And we're happy to have plenty of examples of stories like this that help kind of tell that story, and a great reflection of the work that Tom and his team do here at TaxCloud. So at that point, and I tried to just rush through those last ones because I know there's some questions out there. I would love to open up our Q&A here. Tom, I don't know if you've already had a chance to look at any of those, or else I can queue some of these up. And if folks have additional questions, please put them into the Q&A panel, and we can get started. So, okay, where do we want to start here?
Yeah, got a lot of good questions. Some are going to be a little more specific. Again, we don't want to provide tax advice, but happy to help answer some of these questions or point you in the right direction. Let's see.
Oh, Tom, actually, go ahead. Do you have one you want to start with?
If you have one, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So yeah, we had a question around kind of how we're handling on marketplaces today, and kind of knowing that there's a consideration there, right? They obviously don't have to collect in those places, but they have to factor it in. Could you maybe just speak to a bit like how businesses should be thinking about on the marketplace side, and how we're handling that today at TaxCloud?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, with marketplace, typically that's going to be, you're working with Amazon, you're selling through Amazon or some of those other services like that. marketplace, those sales are going to be reported by the tax is going to be paid by the Amazon. When it comes to those sales, each state might have a different requirement. So depending on how those are going to flow in, it's going to be up to our customers to make sure that their integrations are flowing that data in. But it will be reported on the return if the state requires that. So yeah, it's important to make sure you're setting up correctly, and then as long as it's on the return, our team will process that.
Okay, awesome. Let's see.
I see another one about manually submitting the returns, and it has to do with they have quite a few automations that they have in place or custom work. Do they have the capability to uncheck certain transactions to not pay if it hasn't shipped yet? So again, this is going to come down to how much work goes into the integration. We also offer CSV imports. So if you want to calculate your tax outside, or not, I guess calculate the tax or kind of filter what you want to load into TaxCloud, we do offer that option as well, so that you could import the transactions that you want TaxCloud to file.
Okay. I see a few kind of pieces of feedback or product related stuff. Chad, I see you in there. Appreciate you passing those along. We'll definitely kind of capture the stuff, pass it on to the team. If you have specific questions about any of these, definitely let us know. But I think some of your questions around asking about how we could better support tax exemption certificates, it's definitely something that's kind of on our radar and something we're thinking about. So appreciate you passing those along.
Yeah, I see. Stacy asked if we have somewhere to share confirmations. We have a note in our system that it'll let you know that the return has been filed. We store all of the confirmations as we file those returns locally, so we have access to those. So if you do need a confirmation, we can provide it to you. But we currently don't have a place where you can access that confirmation on our site.
Let's see. Tom, maybe I'll ask this one. You can tell me if we feel like this is within the scope of stuff we'd like to answer. The company I work with deals with retail and tax exempt wholesale. I understand states all have their filing thresholds. Do wholesale sales tax exempt transactions need to be considered when calculating these thresholds?
Yeah, so I'll give a very generic answer to that, and it's going to be, it depends on the state. There are some states that are going to want you to keep track of that, and it will trigger Nexus for you. There are some states that have said that they want taxable sales of TPT to track on Nexus. So it depends on the state. I know it's not a great answer. If everything you're selling is exempt, it's the risk of a state coming after you for returns you haven't filed that are going to be zero. In this situation, it's really important to make sure that you have all your exemptions in order. So you're maintaining those from your customers, your resale certificates, your exemption certificates, and making sure that in the event of an audit happening, that you have that supporting documentation to prove that those sales were exempt. I see one. How do you handle a business which has on-ground and online sales? So this could be state specific as well. Some states, it all gets reported on the same line of the return. So as long as you're able to pass those transactions through to TaxCloud, then we'll be able to handle that. The way I've seen some of our customers handle that is they'll have their online store set up uh, as an integration with TaxCloud, and then they'll do their store sales as a CSV import into TaxCloud for us to report that way. But yes, we can handle that.
Let's see. Oh, enter here. Paul asked about our QuickBooks integration. Is that QuickBooks Online? That's correct. Today we offer we have a real-time integration on QuickBooks Online, so we can help you both calculate on invoices you're doing, calculate your sales tax, and then sync those over to TaxCloud to help with your Nexus tracking and filing. So we don't currently support desktop. Folks on here are looking for that. Any further kind of asks to help us encourage the team to add that support, it's definitely on our radar. So definitely, put that there as well. Emily's asking for a link to Nexus minimums for all the states. I think we can definitely include a link to that for you, Emily. There's a lot of information. We definitely have some resources on our site that have that, so I can make sure you get a link to that. And again, those are ever changing as well, as we've seen. And so, there's been kind of some states had order thresholds, some have a total sales threshold. And so we can try to direct you to the best resources we can. And we always try to keep that stuff up to date. Stuff is always up to date in our tools, so we can handle that on your behalf.
I see a good question in the chat about home rule cities in Colorado. We do handle that. We handle it differently than other tax providers, where we file on it's the SUTS website, where we can file all the home rule jurisdictions on one site. So we're not charging you for 50 returns in Colorado. We're just charging you for the one in Colorado. But yes, we do handle the home rule jurisdictions in Colorado.
Okay. Just looking at our FAQs here. We have a question from James here. Do we integrate with NetSuite? We do have an integration with NetSuite. That's definitely one where we would want to talk to you about kind of your use case and workflow there to make sure we can support it. We do have plans for later this year on shipping an updated version of our integration on NetSuite. So if you've worked with us in the past and if we didn't meet your needs, we definitely have plans on releasing a deeper integration with NetSuite later this year. Bill had a question, and we admit whether or not we can kind of specifically answer this or not, but maybe to speak generally about it. Bill says we sell food products online, which are taxed at a reduced rate in our state. I understand that shipping charges, if taxed, are supposed to be taxed at the rate for the primary product shipped. Is this something that your system handles, that kind of nuance? Is that something you can speak to, Tom, or is that more, might be a functionality perspective on our end?
Right. Yeah. So again, depends on the state. We do file for some of our customers do sell food products at reduced rates. Virginia, I know, has a reduced rate on food. And yeah, we can handle that as well as the shipping charges as well.
Okay. Okay, maybe if we have time for one more, and then I think we're probably gonna have to wrap up here in the last kind of 5-10 minutes here. If you're setting up, and I don't have a client signed yet, need yeah, it sounds like Bet is asking a question. So we're just setting up. We don't have clients yet. It sounds like maybe you're just getting your business off the ground. I would say in most situations, you likely don't have Nexus anywhere yet. So probably not something you need to be terribly aware of in the short term. Maybe physical Nexus in that at that point, Tom, would that be fair?
Yeah, you may have physical Nexus, and you'd still have to report that zero return. I would wait to have sales before you start registering, and again, make sure you're monitoring your economic and physical Nexus for both of those.
Cool. I think this would be a good one to land on here. Katie asks, what kind of audit support does TaxCloud offer? If is this something that we offer as a service or anything that someone could be mindful of?
It is, yes. Yep. So we do have audit support that we offer. And it's really just to help our customers if they do go through an audit. And again, we call them direct file states because those are the states that are outside of the SST program and we log on directly to file. So audit support for SSTs is great for our customers because TaxCloud manages that whole audit. We'll work with you if there's any discrepancies or things that need to be worked through. Um, for direct filing, we still offer audit support, and it's going to be help reconciling. Again, we're going to need reports from our customers to make sure that we're reconciling to the right amounts. And it'll also be tick analysis, so taxability analysis based off of the products that you sell, and then just support working through that. If there's any other reports that you need help with or access to, we can provide that. All the documentation that we have on file will help our customers with that as well.
Fantastic. Okay. I think we're gonna have to probably wrap up the Q&A now. I want to be mindful of folks' time as we are finishing up here. And so just to do a quick kind of recap before we close things out. So, one, if you're kind of getting started on your journey with sales tax filing, looking to make a change, it's a great time to get started. We'll be sending these resources. If you have questions for us, we'll be sending links so you can get those questions to us. We want to be here to help you as much as we can, but it is a great time to be really proactive in thinking about your filing. Two, we've talked a lot about the SST program today. We definitely recommend if you're working with TaxCloud or a different solution that's out there, to consider that as a big part of your evaluation and to ensure that if you're working with a tool today that you think you should be able to get access, please, you should ask them or come talk to a business like ours so we can get you help set up. We are, as a business, this is a huge part of what we do. We've seen some really strong growth here. Tom has built an amazing team to help support our customers here. It's easy to find reviews that talk about TaxCloud, and one of the most common things you'll see is just how amazing our people are to work with, and a big part of that is what Tom's team does. So if you want to work with a vendor who has kind of a proven track record on providing amazing service around sales tax filing, we really take that seriously. It's a huge part of what we do here. And yeah, last part here is the one thing we know about sales tax is it will always continue to be, more complex. And so finding a partner that you can work with, and hopefully a lot of the information we shared today will help set you up for success on that journey. Before we wrap up, Tom, anything else you would add as kind of a takeaway that people should walk away with today?
No, I think sales tax is something that can certainly keep you up at night. So it's always good to get ahead of it, stay on top of it. Yeah, and TaxCloud's here to help you with that, and yeah, help everyone sleep better at night.
Fantastic. Well, you'll see in this deck, we'll send out the deck with some additional links and resources. We will also send the recording so everybody has it. And as I said, keep an eye out for that. We'll try to get that for you out within the next 24 hours so you have it. In the meantime, if you have questions, you can reach out to our team. We'll provide a link that you can reach out as well. And I will actually, as we're kind of wrapping up here, just put my email in the chat so people have it. If you'd like to just get a quick email out, so if you have questions, feel free to shoot that and I can get that to the team. But we'll send you more resources within the next 24 hours so you have those as well. But we just don't want people to have to be waiting around. Well, Tom, thank you so much to everyone who attended. Thank you so much for being here. We hope this was valuable. And yeah, have a great rest of your day and best of luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.